my little water ministry. Can't talk and drink that. I can strum that. That's about as good as my multitasking gets. I've learned that women are good at multitasking, men not so much. So every time I always start multitasking, I say things I don't mean. I had like certain songs I want to sing, and so like I only have a certain amount of time, so I had to like sing a bunch of those real like back to back. It's just like now I just gotta like hang out and talk to you for a second. Looking good. Catch my breath. I have asthma. It's hard to sing that many songs right away. That's true. I mean, it's sort of true, I guess. Oh man, so it feels good to be here. I've been. You get on the road and play so many like short sets, like quick, like in and out and all this stuff, and they were like, you can play whatever you want, and I was like, for it? Can I play some new songs? They're like, yeah, why don't you play some new songs? I said, all right then. So I'm excited because I want to play these songs, a few of these new songs, like maybe 4 or 5 times live, and so they're fresh to me, and it's fun because there's the message that comes with it and everything, and it means a lot to me. And so I got to say, the song I'm going to sing you right now, it was the first song I wrote for my record that's going to be coming out in April. And I know you're probably thinking, Chris, why would you release an album in April? Your last name is August. We got the first 2 records in August, and this one was supposed to come out last August, and I didn't feel like it was ready, so I asked them to push it back. So it's in April now, and August is my middle name anyway, so that's cool. Doesn't matter. I'm not legally bound by it. But I sat down, I was getting ready to write for this new album, and just so happens I was going through an interesting time in my life. You always think, and you start each album, you're like, what am I going to write about? I've written so many songs and over the years, and it's like, you feel like you're out, like, what else could I say? And then, at the same time, you also think like, like if someone asks you, like, what's your testimony? You usually say, well, this is how I came to know the Lord, and it's like, mine was like, well, I was in 10th grade, and this cute girl in my Spanish class invited me to her church, and I was like, sounds awesome. And that's that cute girl ministry, watch out for that. And then I went and they had free pizza. That's what I call the pizza ministry. And I went every week. After like the 3rd week, the guy was preaching the gospel, and I was like, I believe this is cool. And then I gave my life to Christ. And so, so you think like, okay, that's my testimony. But then you kind of, as you live life, you think like, my testimony's already written, and the Lord's like, no, you're going to go through something. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to add to that testimony. I'll see how it's going to be. I'm just going to keep adding to it. And just when you think like, okay, now that's closed, then a whole other chapter opens up. And for me, this the last 3 years has been crazy. Actually, April of 2012. Some of you might know this, and some might not. But I had a skateboard accident, and I had a brain bleed, brain swelling. I was in the hospital. I was in ICU for a bit, and then I was in the hospital, and all this stuff. Well, basically, after that, you're on a lot of pain medication. The head hurts quite a bit. I don't recommend it.
We prayed for you, buddy.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I needed that, and what I'm about to say, those prayers, was it could have been a lot worse when I was in that hospital. And I know the Lord had His hand on me, and they didn't have to do a surgery that everyone thought they were going to have to do. And a lot of times after that surgery, you have to learn how to walk and talk, and everything. So He had His hand on me, no doubt about it. And so, for me, after that, it was a hard time because you're on a lot of pain medication and stuff, and every strong pain medication you can think of, I had all, and even then I still kept having to go to the emergency room for things, and it was a hard next few months. And so then, fast forward about 4 months after this accident, I'm like, doctor's like, all right, you can't keep taking the pain medication, it's like, you have to stop that at some point. I'm like, but it's so nice. So I remember the first time I woke up, and the second time I wake up and like, okay, here's some, a little Percocet, that's cool, and some Fruity Pebbles. It's like, whatever you gotta do. But there was the first time where I wasn't gonna take my pain medication. I remember I had to fly to a show, I'm at the airport in Nashville, and I walk in, and like, get right out to that first gate, and my gate is always like this with Southwest, and this is a side note, if you're ever flying on National Southwest, just get ready to walk a lot, because they put you in the last gate every time. It's like, some of the Lord's working on my heart, I guess, I don't know, I gotta figure it out, but I'm hoping to get that changed. I'm gonna call someone at Southwest, you gotta change these gates, get them a little closer. But I walk to the last gate, right, and I could maybe pass like the first one, and I'm like, I don't feel too good, so I'm like, I gotta sit down for a second, and now I'm like, all right, gather it up, walk a few more gates, I'm like, man, I'm gonna get sick in the middle of this airport, it's gonna be kind of embarrassing. I'm like, I gotta sit down again. So I sit down, and I mean, I had to stop every few gates, and finally I made it to my gate, and I'm calling my manager, and I'm like, man, like, I don't feel good, like I'm getting sick, and I don't know if I can go to the show. And he's like, did you take your medicine? I'm like, I see what's going on here. And this was when it clicked to me that my body had become, addicted to this pain medication. And when I didn't take it, I was getting sick. And so I was like, all right, well, the doctor, I'm supposed to like not take it anymore, but I got a handful left, I can wean myself off. And so I take one, and magically I was like, okay, I feel amazing now. It's crazy how that works. And so I'm selling pain medication at my merch table. I'm just kidding. That's messed up. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Not a good joke either. Trust me, when you know what I've been through, you gotta laugh at it at some point. But so after that, I say it was hard to get off of that stuff. It was hard, and I finally weaned myself off, and I'm thinking, finally I'm in the clear. Like, no more of these pills. Like, I've been taking like on a crazy regimen of pills. Like, I'm done. And then after about a month, I'm acting a little weird, and a couple of my friends were like, hey Chris, I think you need to go see a counselor. And I'm like, that doesn't make me feel too good. Like, friends are like, go to counseling? I'm like, oh, counseling? Okay, all right. So there's a guy named Al Andrews who's in Nashville, and he gives free counseling to anyone that's in the Christian music industry, just because he kind of knows what we deal with on the road, and it's kind of his ministry. And so I go see Al, and I say, Al, this is what's going on in my life. He says, well, Chris, I think you need to go see a psychiatrist. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, you're going to kick me while I'm down. Like, all right. Like, I thought it was bad enough I had to come see you, and now I got to go see a psychiatrist. And so that just doesn't even sound right. It doesn't sound good, not pleasing to my ear. So I go sit on this nice little comfortable couch, and he had a comfortable couch. That's not like made up, like you think in the movies you lay on this nice couch. I'm like, this dude had a nice couch. I'm like, and so I'm laying on this nice couch, I'm sitting on it, talking to him, and so this, April 2012 was when my accident happened, and now we're in like the end of November, and so they talked to me, and he says, well, Chris, you have depression. And I was like, all right, well, what I got to do? And he's like, well, we're going to give you this medication. So I start taking one medication for it, and then, as you know, with medication, there's side effects. And I'm like, well, I go back to him like, my legs are shaking like crazy. Like, I'm like, oh, like a restless man, I'm like, you got anything for that? And he's like, yeah, that's a side effect, here's a pill for that. And I'm like, okay. Also, I can't sleep at night, so do you have anything for that? He's like, yeah, okay. That's another side effect, here's a prescription for that. And then I'm like, my head kind of feels like it's going to explode. Like, is that normal? Is it, like, what's the deal with my head? Like, I feel foggy and all this. And he said, that's a side effect, here's a medication for that. So, let me tell you, it's like, I had this pill box that like, my grandpa used to have one of those back in the day. And I had like, the pill box had like the, morning, afternoon, evening, bedtime, and all the days of the week. It was the size of a laptop. And it was like, I would have to carry it everywhere I went. And so I get on this medication, and I guess I'm feeling better, and I'm like, all right, this is just the deal, And so I'm about 3 months into taking all this medication. Everywhere I go, I got this dumb pill box. Like, it's annoying. I travel all the time. I gotta carry this around with me. It's usually just be right in the back here in my backpack, and I'm like pulling it out. People are like, what are you doing? It's like, don't worry, I'm a professional. So I felt like, and two, like, you gotta remember, you don't gotta remember, I'll tell you now, but I hate taking pills, like, passionately. I do not like taking pills. I was like the kid, I would have to have the chewable everything, because I couldn't take them. My mom would be like, Chris, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, Mom, it hurts me. I have to go to counseling later on in my life because of it. But I could never take pills, so even to this day, like, if you see me taking a pill, you're gonna be like, I gotta put like the water in my mouth, I put the pill in, I'm like doing this crazy thing. People like airports are like, dude, what's happening? We'll pray for him. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to take a pill, it's fine. But so I'm already on Moss pills. Well, fast forward then it had been 1 year since my accident, and I'm on tour with a band called Big Daddy Weave. It's a new band. You'll hear about them one day. I just tell them, keep practicing. You're getting better. And so I'm on tour with them. And if you haven't been to a Big Daddy Weave show in the last like 2 or 3 years, they've changed up what they do, and it's crazy. Like when I say ministry, that's like ministry at its core. Like at the end of every night, all the guys from the band are down there like praying with people, and the keyboard player singing worship songs. And I'm like, I wasn't raised in church, and when I did go, I just went to a church where you just listen to the preacher, and then you like leave after church and go watch the Cowboys. I'm from Dallas. Sorry. Tell me you watch the Cowboys when you're from Dallas, or else you'll get in trouble with the preacher. Maybe the Lord, I don't know. I mean, I know it's America's team. Might be the Lord's team. I'm just saying. This is what I... Anyway. It was a catch. No.
We know who the Super Bowl champs are. It's okay.
Did they win or did the Seahawks lose it? I don't know.
Whatever, it was a flat football.
So I'm on tour with Big Daddy Weave, speaking of ministry. And I'm listening, I'm like looking out, and I'm like, look, I wasn't raised in church where we're like praying for people and laying our hands on people and asking the Lord to heal this and that. And I mean, I believe it. I mean, you read it in the Bible, but there's always maybe this disconnect of awkwardness or something that's like, well, I mean, that was for 2,000 years ago, you know, and I mean, he's not here, you know, he's not like standing here, so, you know, and so for me, like, really getting to see it firsthand, after the first night of the tour, I saw Mike down there praying with people. I said, well, I want to see what's going on down there. So I asked Mike, I said, hey, tomorrow night, can I go down there with you? And I'm just going to stand next to you. Like, is that weird? Can I do that? And he's like, dude, come on. Like, so I'm down there at the end of the night, like, happened again. And so every night was different with him. You didn't know what to expect. And so I'm down there with Mike, and he's praying with people. I just got my hand on to him, like, yep, sounds good. Lord, you should totally do that. I would love that. And, like, I'm telling you though, like, in my mind, I was like, this is nuts. Like, I was seeing stuff right in front of me. I was seeing people be healed physically, emotionally. Like, when I was seeing what they say, like, chains are gone, I'm like, my goodness, like, I'm seeing these people walk away different, like, right there, you know? And sometimes even as it took over time, like, they gave them this email address, and you get to hear from people say, look, you know, see the Lord healing their lives, and it's like, my goodness, this is so amazing. And so one night, I was up with Mike on the bus, and I don't know, it kind of just hit me that, like, I wasn't sleeping, and all these problems I was having, I was taking all these pills, and I'm suffering with this depression, and I'm like, wait a second, like, I'm praying for people every night, and they're getting healed. Like, I'm standing right there, like, hey. Like, give me a little bit of that, you know? And so I tell Mike, and I'm like, dude, like, I want to be healed, you know, I'm going through all this. And so, you know, this night I asked the Lord to heal me, and I said, Lord, I believe that you're healing me. I receive it. Like, I know you can do it. I know that you're here still. And so just ask that you heal me. And I decided the next day when I woke up, I said, you know, as so many times we ask the Lord for his healing, or we're praying for something, but yet we just like ask him and then just go about our business instead of asking him and chasing after him and pursuing him. And so what I did is that next day I woke up, I started reading the Bible for, I'm not even exaggerating, for hours every single day. And I started praying. I just started walking in it. Like I was like, I'm just going to walk into healing. I just know it happened, you know. And so as I was reading the Bible and praying, and I'm telling you, he healed me immediately, and I haven't taken one pill since that moment. I'm telling you, it's like even more than just the depression changed. Like, he changed me in many ways, and I just, it made me sit there and think. Like, immediately I wanted to like write about this experience. You know, it's like I said, so many times we think it's just for 2,000 years ago. That you know, oh, if only I could have lived back then and just touched the cloth, I could have been healed. It's like, man, that's the good news about the birth and the cross and the resurrection, that he is still here. He didn't stay in the grave, you know, and he's still here. He's still healing and moving and shaping, you know. And so for me, immediately, this was the first song I wrote off the record, and it kind of set the tone for the whole record, because I was in such a, you know, vulnerable spot even with the Lord and what he was doing in my life.